Hi, Shweta. Hi, all of you at Subaya. Shweta, I got to say this. I know this is post lunch and this is Friday, which doesn't mean anything. I know in a challenging environment like Subaya, where every one of you is dealing with so many things, right, for the community and for your academics. But on a Friday, 2 p.m. session and having 300 people and still joining is remarkable. I think your entire team has done something spectacular just to make sure everyone joins. This is very, very heartening for any speaker to see. Thank you. And I got to say, Zoom has made life so nice and approachable. I can see a welcome from Chaitanya, Sujit, Mayur. Thank you guys for raising a hand. I get a sense of who you are and where you are. So thank you. Really appreciate you welcoming everyone. Hello, Ishwar.
So we start. Sharp.
Whenever you are ready, absolutely, Anjali.
Yeah. A very good afternoon, dear students, faculty, and friends. Igniting a growth mindset is the topic for today's session. Before I introduce you all to our esteemed guest, let us rise for the campus prayer.
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै सर्वे अत्र सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
A warm welcome towards us. Let me introduce to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Subodh Gajre. He is known as an entrepreneur, a dynamic blend of engineer and entrepreneur. His vision is simplifying technology and harnessing for advancement of mankind. His engineer brain is challenged at Cisco, his home for last 20 years. He has thrived on creating platforms and protocols in wireless, security, and routing. He is currently in the role of lead architect for solving customer challenges. He loves creating architecture for longevity. He has contributed to mega projects for Reliance, Jio, RBI, NEFT, Walmart, Amazon, to name a few. Aadhaar, UPI, AIML are tools at, are his creative contributions. While tinkering with the technology, his current passion is to build genius teams who would solve problems faced by the human race. He does not subscribe to Murphy's Law. His mantra is fix it. He loves doing it by book as long as he gets to be the author. In his spare time, he passionately works with rural communities in India to foster skill based employment, math, science, physical fitness, and innovation. He considers his gratifying achievement to be a catalyst for human beings and advances them to achieve a transformed life. Welcome, sir. I would invite Shweta Manwadkar, Principal of KJ Somaya College of Physiotherapy, to welcome you.
Thank you.
Subodh, hello and welcome.
Thank
And
you.
it's such a pleasure to have you here at this platform. And for those, many of you all may not know, we have been friends, I don't know, since a long time. And he also is related with me now, and he is this constant source of inspiration for each and every member of our family, our friend circle, from youngest to oldest. He just has this innate ability to get people back on track whenever they seem to deviate in life. So with great respect and with whatever experiences I have had with you so far, which have always kept me back on track, I've learned a lot from you. So I'm so delighted, Subodh, to have you here to address the physiotherapy and nursing students. It's a joy. So welcome and over to you.
Sure, Shweta. Thank you so much. You're too kind, and it's always been a rewarding journey, right? To know you since a long time, and as you rightly shared, we now share uh, a very cohesive family bond as well. Um, at the outset, I just want to first congratulate all of you faculty members. I do not know the exact count, but from what you told me, Shweta, physiotherapy and nursing college together tantamount to maybe more than 60 or 70, and I can see the number of participants just hovering around the 450 mark, which is phenomenal in many ways, also in the present context where we have. So I want to thank each one of you really for investing your time. First of all, because this matters. This is about all of us. This is not going to be a monologue. This is not going to be something just about, uh, you know, uh, what have I done? What have I know? This is not about Subodh's, experiments or innovations and how you can blindly apply. I firmly want to just point out two warnings or disclaimers, if I may say so. And the first is this is about you. This is about each one of you, right? So, if I may use the example, Sahil, Shrutika, Yash, Anama, Krishna, Ishwar, Mayur, Sujit, Chaitanya, and all of you more people who are chatting and raising a hand and just greeting everyone. So this is about each one of you, each 400 or 450 of you, to share freely what you're going through. Uh, the second part of my warning, come disclaimer, come request to you all is, as we share, based on whatever you share, there are some things we can use in our life, and which hinges on the title or the premise of this workshop. And that is, how do I ignite that thing which is already there inside me? Now, many people refer to that as creativity. And I think they kind of do a disservice, right? If each one of you now, right, for example, let me take a guess here, right? I like to use realistic example. So let's look at Geeta ma'am, right? If I can say so, right? So I like this. I wish, you would be a role model for most of the IT folks. Uh, you know, guys like me who just sit on a chair and take calls. I can see you walking, right? That itself is innovation for me. One of the best levels of innovation, because you embody what it means to have a healthy body and a wellness mind, right? If I may say so. So kudos, Geeta ma'am. And why am I not surprised? Okay. So so coming back to this mindset, right? So when people say, "Oh, he or she is creative," like let's use some examples, and let's take some name. Let's say Shruti, right? Oh, Shruti was born creative. Or say Anushka. Anushka was, you know, she was good at science and she was good at math, and then she gradually advanced and kind of became good at music and okay in some other places. Let's take Sahil, right? Oh, Sahil, he was really good at basketball, cricket, or soccer, and so on, right? And I'm just using examples. And what happens is people often actually consume the skills as creativity. So when I say consume, we think if someone's good at something, he or she is creative. Or the second extreme opinion is you're born creative. For example, that is where the even larger mistake happens when we confuse creativity or with alchemy. Something like, oh, you take a lead stone and convert into gold. Uh, we all know mind is not alchemy anymore. All of us, on the call, excluding me, come from a medical background, if I may say so. Okay, so you all know you're probably $37 trillion. Sorry, 37 trillion cells clicking in perfect symphony and orchestra. So it's a complete chemical process. There's nothing alchemy about it. So if we can all agree on one basic assumption, no one is born creative, then I think the second corollary of the assumption or the dogma becomes no one is born with a creative or an open mindset or whatever you want to say. Uh, so it's something which you touch, use, and if I may say so, apply it in many things which you do in life or in your relationships or things you deal with. For example, right now, I think the biggest thing everyone in the world on this planet is dealing with is the pandemic. Okay, and I have the highest respect for wisdom. So, for example, I think everyone pretty much has this device which I can just show to you on the phone, on the camera if you're watching. It's called as a phone. Okay, so all of us have embraced this, and if I can use that as a common example throughout this workshop, you'll realize two things. Um, it was supposed to be a communication device, and it is now a device on which a lot of things come to us. So, like for example, every morning, say Anjali ma'am gets up, she can put in her wellness diet there. Shweta ma'am can actually put in her daily, say, feeds of website she's interested in, right? So it's also now a means to curate your data. Now, I have the highest respect for everything which is going around in the world in the pandemic times, if it's useful information. But I think each one of you on the call have been also flooded or inundated with, if I may use the word, inaccurate, unverified, unwarranted, and just say Hindi or Marathi, you can just say, I can use both languages. I understand both languages, Hindi and Marathi. So you're welcome to ask questions, as a break comes up. But I would say a lot of people just say, this is, I've heard names like WhatsApp Pundits, WhatsApp Gurus, Social Book University, and all that. और ये थोड़ा derogatory term है, right? I mean, for because people forward with good intent, but what people don't understand sometimes, including all of us on the call, including me, is in what context is someone reading that message? Okay, and I think that's the, if I may use the simple philosophy, that's the second part of the warning, that every one of us, has the ability to ignite the growth mindset, assuming we have the right context. Okay, so I'll take a pause here, and I'll just ask you, any one of you, and this is an open workshop. I always wanted it so that each one of you just sits back, or if you're like Geeta ma'am, if you're sitting, putting your feet up and just enjoying post lunch, or even having your late lunch. Okay, but just think about when the word innovation comes to you, or when the word mindset comes to you, right? Or if you combine both and say innovation and mindset, what examples come to you? Or any company example, any, I know I showed you one innovation, right? Just phone. Maybe it's a technical innovation. Why do you think it's so important? Anyone? Faculty, students, absolutely, whatever comes to your mind. Anyone wants to share?
Earlier
Anything?
said
Yeah.
Tesla, Prajakta is mentioning about Intel.
Okay. Yeah, I can see project. Okay. Oh, thank you. So yeah, I can keep. I believe they don't have. They have not been unmuted. So okay, I can see Harleen talk about Tesla and Intel, and these are very, what do you say, uh, closer to everyone's heart and example. Absolutely, Project. I would say spot on, 200% correct. Shruti's typing something as well, and I encourage everyone to participate and type what comes to them. So innovation means to create something unique. Absolutely, right? Uh, Creative things. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Again, now let's just take this statement, right? So I'll use a Tesla, Intel, and we can even include something else if you like. Some closer to Indian home examples like Swiggy, and I think Swiggy has become like the auxiliary brain now of everyone, right? कुछ life में नहीं हो रहा है तो Swiggy करते हैं, kind of things. So let's look at innovation means to create unique and something, and there's creating green energy. I think Vaibhav is typing that. Uh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. But please realize, folks, right? If I use a simple example, right? Let's rewind ourselves, close our eyes, and think. The first human being who probably discovered the chair, okay, and he just maybe made this kind of a structure and said, "This is a device, or this is, I would even call it a device. This is just maybe back then the word furniture did not exist, so he might just say this was a seating, a, a place for everyone to sit, and he or she stopped there. Let's assume Subodh innovated the chair, the wooden chair, or whatever, the basic module which looks like a wooden chair, and I stopped for 2 or 3 years. Now, let's say Ishwar, right? I'm just using your example, or say Dr. Tanvi, or say, Dr. Shraddha or Mugdha ma'am, right? Each one of you are different parts of the world. And say Mugdha ma'am might think that, you know what, Subodh just invited a place for people to sit like this. Let me invest my time and invent the armrest. So you see the chair started having armrest after a few years. Um, let's fast forward a few years later. Again, let's say somewhere in some part of the world, Dr. Tanvi then felt, you know what, Subodh did this. Mukta then added the armrest. Let me add some wheels to the chair. So what I want to build on is you don't have to completely innovate or create something new. Sometimes that blind assumption, and I'm just using the word assumption here, which means the status quo of things as we perceive because of our cortex, we think this is the way it is. Uh, we can always build on something which is there. So you don't have to go around the world and innovate something. Now, over the last 100 years, I would say there have been, this is a funny trend, right? If you look at, for example, there's around 2,000 books every year written on innovation or management principles. I'm just saying, right? What does it mean to innovate? 2,000 books. If you do a simple math, that counts to at least 6 books written every day, which means roughly, in maybe 3 to 4 hours, one book gets written every day. Every 3 to 4 hours, one book gets written on innovation and mindset. So by now, we know for sure there is no prototype, there is no the standard way. What matters is not many books do justice to the thought that everyone is wired differently. Okay. So for example, let's say, Jidnasya Patil, right? To your example, Jidnasya said, you observe the needs and modify. That's what we call as learning. If you look at Shruti's example, a growth mindset will allow you to not only challenge, but also make something out of it. So let me just, simplify it into simple, very simple terms. Again, coming back to, I think one of you gave me that example about green energy. Okay, or let's look at green energy, which I think Vaibhav you mentioned. Okay, and let's use that. Let's look at Tesla. Okay, now Harleen and Vaibhav, both of you mentioned green energy and Tesla. When you mention both of these terms in isolation, they look at two independent things. When you bring them closer, and then we try to look at commonality, you kind of relate that they're actually intersections. Can anyone take a guess why Tesla and green energy are intersecting? Anyone? You can type your answers, or I'll scroll up. So do you think, for those of you who said Tesla and those of you who said green energy, do you think they are the same? There you go. Yeah, I think Sean said it. Electric automotive, clean energy. There you go. Eco-friendly. So that is precisely where I'm going. That is the premise of this workshop. What it means to ignite a mindset is not always to invent. For example, again, I'm just being very because you said Tesla. I'm getting a sense most of you understand this world. Yes, pollution-free, renewable energy, absolutely. I can see Yash typing. Kinjal is saying this as well. And so if you imagine Elon Musk, maybe he was also the co-founder of something what we use today as BHIM UPI. Back then it was called PayPal, right, or for e-commerce. So after PayPal, he was thinking, if I look at this 120-year-old industry, which is the automotive industry, the basis of that is fuel. So he didn't innovate cars. He just innovated and challenged the fact that the biggest energy source is not in the ground, which is finite. The biggest energy source is probably up in the sky, which is infinite, right? So certain things which drove him were never about being the world's number one. Just giving an example, right? So the closed mindset tells you that today, GM and Toyota are here, and I can be a better number one by selling more cars, selling safer cars, or selling beautiful cars, whichever way, right? So that is just you're trying to upend from a closed mindset to a growth mindset. The journey to a growth mindset is you basically operate from this symbol. I can't draw it, but if you look at my hands, it's the infinity symbol. That's what it's all about, right? It's not finite. So when you look at the fuel for the cars below the ground, which was oil, it takes a vision, it takes a growth mindset to know that someday, maybe 2030 or 2040, we don't know, but someday in the future, hopefully when most of you have bought your cars by then, oil would just taper off. So that means oil will just plateau and start getting lower. So what then? Okay. And then when you look up in the sky and you realize, hey, 2 hours of sun just gives you probably 35,000 extra joules of energy, which is enough for the whole energy consumption for a planet, maybe for an entire week, right? So if you can do that little simple logic, even if you're explaining to your grandma that there is some energy coming from the sun, let's just call it solar. If there's a way to harness that using the existing technologies called, solar cells or lithium ion, and then trapping that and using that. So that is where, that shift from close to growth happened. You can take Intel probably 30, 35 years ago when they launched semiconductors, a similar shift happened. So by now, if the point is not clear, okay. Yeah, I think Jigar has a very Jigar has a different perspective. So let me read that out, because that's what I like, right? Perspectives. So if we consider Tesla being clean, lithium actually mining for battery is more potent and dangerous. Absolutely. And that's why the premise is not only to reside on lithium and cadmium ion. So Tesla does have a vision, in case you do not know, that they will charge, for example, existing lithium, cadmium, and nickel, also from solar. So that's one way they're doing it. And the second is future, right? So having very low costs for crushed photovoltaic cells driving cars in the future. So what you're seeing now is just an intermediary phase for Tesla. Going forward, they're going to do a lot of this. For example, not depend only on lithium, but look at other low-cost options. Something which, the net should be energy positive. That's what we're trying for, right? Or as we say, carbon zero kind of thing for a country. But a valid perspective, okay? So again, I know we are surrounded more in this tech world. We have all embraced a lot of technologies, starting from our computers. So let me talk about you students, right? As you do your courses, okay, do you think technology helps you? And I'm not just talking about your cell phone or your computer systems or your labs. I'm really talking about the same instrumentation, right? If you just close your eyes and imagine when you are doing, say, anatomy, right, or physiology, or all those subjects which you are doing, and now with some little bit of machine, a little bit of automation, if you can monitor your patients better, if you can do rehab better, does that bring a sense of reliability? Does that bring a sense of accuracy in your approach? What do you think? Where does, if I may ask you, where does nursing and healthcare stand? What's your opinion? Or where does physiotherapy and the subject stand when it talks about not just IT and systems and software adoption, but generally a little bit of machine and adoption? Do you agree it's made life a little simple for you? Any comments? Come on, anyone? It's all about you folks. Students, do you agree? Okay, I'm getting my first comment from Karan V saying, yeah, there you go, right? Absolutely. So Ishwar also agrees. So Karan V, to your point, right? And I think everyone by now, right? Just again, let's all just reflect, right? This is what you do first. As a first step, is it's always reflection, right? When you want to let go of your closed mindset and embrace a growth mindset. There you go. Absolutely. So 18 months ago, or maybe even 14 months ago, nobody thought about SpO2 levels. In fact, even now, chances are if you go to the remotest place anywhere in the city, or even in a tier 2 or a tier 3 city, everyone may not be able to spell an oximeter, but will have at least one oximeter, right? Uh, it's not a challenge statement to make, it's just an average statement to make, but that awareness that you can actually look at your blood oxygen levels, right, from just a little device, right? And if you really think it's just simple innovation, you put it on your finger or index finger, and there's some little optical lights going through, and because the wavelength passes through your finger and blood, and depending on the concentration of the blood and the wavelength being received on the receiver, it calculates on a scale of 1 to 100. If you're above 90, considered good, your oxygen saturation looks good, and whatever we call as SpO2 looks good, right? And simple indicators. And I think if I rewind back to my chemical lab or chemistry labs a couple of decades ago, we used to have these litmus papers, right? So dip, blue turns to red. Okay, there you go, right? My acidic or my alkaline test works well, or just a simple pH test. So these are just indicators, right? And so for a closed mindset person, often, as we all say, right? Let's use some examples. Like if I just tell you now, okay, look at how Zoom has, or whatever you use, say WebEx or Microsoft Teams, anything in your life, or whatever you use to be in touch. So some of you may go to portals, some of you may subscribe to RSS feeds or read some social media. But if you ask me, your life is about using these indicators, but the ability to take this data. So think about 3 layers. There's data everywhere around you. I don't need to tell you. You walk, your phone generates data, your computer generates data, your armband, your wristwatch, your smartwatch, whatever you have, your machine in the corner is generating data. In the middle, right, is the knowledge layer. So there's data, there's knowledge, and there's wisdom. Okay, so D, K, W. The people are naturally all of us as Homo sapiens, right? We prefer to have the ability to thrive on data. So we like data because for us, it's a simple answer how X relates to Y. Oh, this is the reason it works. I have an oximeter, to your point. Okay, then I have the ability to generate this and so on. So that's data. Now, if there are some students smart enough who are looking at, okay, this is a pandemic. We are either home, stuck at home, maybe in our first year, second year, third year, or fourth year. And this is a brilliant chance for us, maybe 5 of us or 4 of us, to form groups, either way, and just pursue and just start with a very open goal of let's look at, for example, how is technology changing or rewriting nursing and healthcare? Simple ways, like we use the oximeter example. People are using so many robotics, artificial intelligence. You can just Google and look at. I can guarantee you, the top 10 exciting startups in India, more than half of them will be in healthcare, right? Uh, the pandemic taught us one thing: everything we thought for which we have to commute, right, which means go from one place to another, can now be computed, which means without leaving or displacing yourself, you can do this, right? And you read enough. I'm not going to even give you examples. That statement stands by itself. So by the same logic, if someone amongst you is thinking, if all our subjects which we are learning can really make us all form little groups. For example, there can be one group which, and I'm just giving examples, right? This is how you go from the data to the knowledge layer, right? And this is a journey from a closed to a growth mindset. The closed mindset is happy with the data layer. The growth mindset creates bridges between the data and the knowledge, and then from the knowledge to the wisdom. And there is the infinite layer. This is the finite layer, right? No matter what you think today, data in many ways is finite because it constricts your thinking and it leaves you with just that. As I told you, remember the simple litmus paper. That's it. That was the only function. The oximeter, that's the only one or two function it can do now. Okay. The knowledge is knowing that I tested my oximeter reading 4 times. Okay. Before meals, after meals, vigorous walk, climbing 20 steps. Now you're applying the data and using some of the knowledge and maybe making some interpretation or analytics of that. If you take it a few steps further and then change your diet, your lifestyle, you move from the knowledge to the wisdom layer. And that is where the magic happens. That is where you actually, in many ways, let go of your comfort zone. And if I may be so blunt enough, and if I just wear a student's hat just for some time, right? Just talking with all of you, I think the hardest thing is always the first 2 minutes to let go of this, the default, or yahi hai, kind of the chalta hai kind of thing around me, right? Just try for 2 minutes. Just try. I'm just giving examples, okay? Some of you, for example, may now be staring at, we don't have enough time to study all the subjects. Our exams are fast approaching. The concepts, the pedagogy by the college, and again, humble request to faculty, please, interject if I'm using a wrong example, because you folks are also strained, right? But let's say the subjects are piling up, the pedagogy is strained for time. Some of you students can own up, and this is just a request, or maybe more like things to ponder for you. If you can think, can I really, ask madam that, or any sir you have, that from just give examples. Say the Harvard Medical Journals. Think about the top 5, just top 5, right? Keep your priorities as minimal as possible. The top 5 journal articles, and complement everything which you are doing. I'm not asking you to get all the equipment from there. I'm not asking you to subject or blindly copy the thesis papers, but just get inspired by what approach they took. And then you'll find that first 2 minutes, 2 minutes here is that ability where you start leaving the data layer and embracing the knowledge layer will actually open up many possibilities. If you're not noticed it, even right now, as you started talking on a chat, you already left the data layer because you're listening, you're responding to stimuli, right? So you can try something that, right? And if you look at a fact, the assumptions we make is me, my world, my challenges, my achievements. That's the data layer we live in. Everyone, including me, including everyone on this calls. The little growth or the innovation, if I may say, in your mindset only happens when you start empathizing. It's the same degree of compassion and empathy when someone comes to you, or when you expect a patient, or when you expect somebody, or when you go to, for example, let's say if some of you have seen COVID or been providing healthcare for any of your COVID patients, you see what a little bit of compassion, what a little bit of empathy will do, what a little bit of tolerance and patience will do. Okay. And that is where, and that is not coming on demand. It doesn't come as a playbook. It never comes as a function of your personality. It has nothing to do with your language, your education, or your background. It just comes on demand if you choose to let go of the default fear and anxiety. So the default fear and anxiety can be, I'm entering a hospital or a clinic and I need to be frightened. Okay. It's the same symptom. It's the same symptoms. What matters is how your mind reacts to it. If you ask someone, if you ask the Olympic athletes, okay, let's imagine for 2 minutes, I'm a javelin Olympic gold medalist, right? If you ask me anytime before a competition or even after a competition, um, and this is a survey taken almost by 99.99% of all Olympic athletes, they actually, if you ask them the question, were you nervous? And they say, oh, hell yes, I was nervous, right? The nervousness there. So the symptoms are the same. You don't know what's going to happen. The fear, the blood, everything is, there's no fear, there's blood pumping higher. But people with a closed mindset look at that high pumping blood and that fear of unknown as nervousness. And Olympic athletes, I'm just using sports as an example, look at the same heightened anxiety, uh, fear of not knowing what's next as excitement. But they call it nervousness, nevertheless. For them, the word nervousness just means I'm excited. Okay. Uh, a shift from the closed to the growth mindset. I think if you got the first step, the second step is, just after you take that initial 2 or 20 minutes, whichever works for you, uh, is really just opening your mind and saying, oh, there was another way to do this as well. Or somebody did this much, I can add some more. So going back to the chair example, somebody innovated the four legs of a chair. I can add the armrest. Somebody can add the wheels. And that's the difference, my friends, right? Most innovations, most patterns, most fear, most uncertainty. It's the way you look at it at all times. Okay. I'll take a pause here just for a second or a third round of any open questions you have. Anything. Anything, any dilemma or challenges you're facing currently in the premise of COVID, example one, example two, when you look at the time crunch and what you're reading or learning on the subjects now, the relevance, something tied to your, maybe, after you get your degrees, maybe the startup scene in this country or abroad, anything you have in mind, feel free to type into the chat window. Yeah. Yeah. I'll just say it loud for everyone. Negativity and bad news arises everyone, and that's what the perception is, right? And without being too critical about it, all I can say is at the data layer you get both. You and a growth mindset person has a filter to consciously get up, and as I said, right, you can either say I'm nervous or you can say I'm excited. It's the symptoms are the same. So when you say negativity, or you see, again, I'm just being very vocal. Every day for the past, I would say 1 month, we have been waking up flooded with news of a lack of oxygen cylinders, lack of remdesivir, lack of hospital beds, lack of the proper healthcare. Whereas I'm not here to debate the right or wrong. We also know there are some equally bright, shining examples, irrespective of the state, the societal structure, the government, or whichever party, making a completely common statement. If you get up and think about what can four of you do uh, to just move the wheels a little bit more smoother and faster for people in your community. Um, just on your phones, and each one of our phones, we carry so much ability to filter at the data layer. Again, I'm using the data layer as an example, but think of it as all that noise, all that thing which goes around. So yeah, perfectly valid point, Shruti. I think I think Geeta ma'am has made a very valid point. Innovations in teaching. Yeah, you got to, in fact, innovate itself on innovations in teaching, especially during pandemic. And I think Somaya Institute, both for physiotherapy and nursing, has done something remarkable, just like any other institute, right? But you can innovate more. As I said, this is always an infinite game you're playing, right? You can go to so many levels if you want to. Um, Again, a humble plea to all of you is, uh, do not consider or measure yourself just because someone else is doing that, especially to students, right? You all know when you measure yourself from um, a GPA, a metric, you actually lose out, right? So imagine a tunnel, right? Your score, your exam scores, your GPA, everything in that world of grades, credits, GPA is really your entry point in the tunnel. The whole thing is enjoying the tunnel journey and coming out as a passionate or a person with a growth mindset, right? So the marks and everything is just the entry point. The exit point is really your passion. Uh, uh, think of it that way. That's the best I can give. Geeta ma'am, again, just to complete innovations in teaching, I think the best way is to, I believe some of the best innovations have come in kitchen cafeterias. Your college has some of the best cafeteria I've seen in an open, relaxed way, right? Right now, also, if I just ask all of you to put your hand, back like me and just sit back and relax, it just, refreezes your mind than sitting upright on a chair in a very formal position. So, just giving an example, maybe every week, the faculty, 20 minutes faculty, 20 minutes students, 5 minutes for capturing notes, just making, 2 circles and being very clear about 2 rules. No blame games, okay? Uh, Nothing, as I said, nothing degrading, blame finding, minus the blame, right? So what assumptions is the students making about the faculty and what assumptions is the faculty making about the students, and then finding the bridges in between, right? For example, if the faculty expects students to put in more hours, work harder, are there certain assumptions there? Again, just saying it openly, students, wearing your hat now, are you making certain assumptions about faculty that they're assuming this is there, or you think you need to know this, but you're not being taught about these subjects, or you think you're only getting the red and the blue flavors of physiotherapy. You want the other 5 flavors too. You want something which will help you forward your business or education idea. You want something which makes a reason for you to get up every Monday morning and just come. And some of the reasons could be just talking to 4 friends or innovating for something. So I think the first way it would be, and I think I'm really deriving this word as we speak, right? But I think I would, if even if I'm granted the freedom to exhibit myself with absolute candidness, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, I'm automatically developing trust for my faculty. So I think that's a beautiful place to start with for all students and for all faculty. Are you someone who is creating and giving trust to others? I'm using precise English because nobody's born creative, nobody's born trustworthy. You have to earn that. I trust you to ask questions on the chat. It's a trust I give you. Now, if you earn that trust, you respond back and the trust grows. Okay. So trust has to be given and taken. It's a give and take. Nobody's born with it. You cannot throw it away. It's not a skill set. So what can we do to generate trust? Right. And trust is different from that honesty is the best policy. Be satyavadi, be virtuous. All those terms have a different context. I'm not against those terms. I'm just differentiating. When you say trust, for example, again, using a student example, right? If Chaitanya has a question and Karanveer has the partial answer and say Akshay also has a partial answer, can three of them rally around and make sure this question goes to the faculty and says, I've got so much help from all of you. Can we get some more help from you? The way you express your situation, your challenge, you're presently dealing with, you can express it in many ways, right? You can have a phase, as we say, right? If you look at a sine wave, what is a phase? If you have a context or a phase of complain, 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 after a certain time, you are unable to differentiate the music from the noise. Okay, there is a harmonic note in it. If you're very clear and objective, this is my problem. The problem causes this complication, or deprives me of this benefit, or induces fear in me. And these are the two solutions I propose. I'm happy to be wrong, but I think in the present tools, resources, and framework, these are the two solutions I propose. Would the faculty like to ratify this and look at this closely? So that's something which I believe is a very nice way to look at problems. Okay. Can I ask for some more example? I just want to make sure I get okay, some more chat coming in. Anything else? All right. Any other questions? I think, did I miss one question from anyone? All right. Okay. I pretty much I'm circling back. In fact, these are the three broad areas I wanted to cover. So if okay, yeah, I can see Karanveer asking some more questions. Doesn't innovation suppress the skills one should have? Okay, very valid point. So skills is different, right? As I told you, Karanveer and everyone, skills is what you learn in your schools and colleges. So skills have to be tied with the context of a subject or a purview of anything what we call as a topic or a subject. When you say innovation or a growth mindset, that's why I told you, imagine that to be the engine of how you look at everything in life. So a growth mindset allows you to even change your relationship with your friends, parents, your faculty, your peers in the industry, how you take upon challenge, right? So innovation actually doesn't suppress anything. The only thing it does is bring you a new perspective. So for example, let's say if Zoom has to innovate now and my camera is on, and if I just need to do a thumbs up to you, right, Karanveer, the camera is on, so it should be able to detect that I did a thumbs up and you should see a thumbs up. So that's innovation. I'm not changing anything. I'm using the existing resources. So all the other things remaining the same. Innovation actually, in many ways, as I told you, right, is tied to a growth mindset. I'm emphasizing the word growth mindset more with a single, if I may say so, single ask here that no one is born with it. Okay, you have to earn it, or if I may, even the action that's not there, ignited yet. So simply put, to everyone, right, Karanveer, and all of you folks who ask questions, the same 37 trillion cells reside in all of us. What neuron connections fire, what don't fire? There is no way, there is no act, there is no white paper, there is no science which can exactly predict at what instant in time you or me will get an idea. That much is clear. That much is certain. Okay. The growth mindset is something which always goes and keeps you in the firing range. It's just like your immunity, right? It's always firing, firing back, firing back, firing back at the pathogens. So growth mindset is always about, okay, I am told to live in a box. Okay. It's not about being a radicalist. It's always about this is a box, but if I change my frame of reference and go on this side of the box, I actually see a cube. Okay, on the side view, I see another box. If I go on the top, I see another box, a rectangle. And before I know it's a cuboid, or it's a prism, or it's a cube. It's no longer a flat 2D square. All I'm saying is your closed or fixed mindset makes you think that your world is a two-dimensional box. Your growth mindset opens up the possibility of a side view, a front view, an auxiliary view, a view from this side. Um, and now if you take a pause and expand this elastic thread, everything in our life has happened because thinkers and innovators have looked upon or let go on the data layer and the closed mindset and gone to the infinite layer, which is the growth mindset. That's all. Whether you talk about Tesla, whether you look at the greatest innovation in medical science, particularly medical science, whether you look at, as Anjali ma'am said, telemedicine. Okay, 10 years ago, simple prescriptions, right? Simple electronic prescriptions being filled was the only level of automation till people discovered laparoscopic surgery is preciseness and the human mindset or the skill the person needs to be there. So I would also say that a lot of innovation is not just happened in the tech industry. It's actually happened more in manufacturing, healthcare, agriculture as well. We just don't see it, the cumulative effects. So it's happening everywhere, not just technology for that matter, but that growth mindset thing. But particularly for you folks in nursing, healthcare, physiotherapy, I would say this. If you're someone who's passionate about pursuing what it means, right? And it's not just about higher studies or having a startup which does this. If you guys have an idea for a startup, you're welcome. I'll be more than happy to engage with all of you through Shweta and her team. But think about what goes on really when you look at your growth mindset. What's stopping you now from not letting go of your growth mindset, right? I would love to hear. We have some more time, I think just around 10 minutes, but I would love to hear more from you. I don't want the chat room to go silent. So anything else, any challenges, obstacles you feel as a student? Uh, what is challenge number one, which comes to your mind, or assumption number one uh, for not going, from that closed to a growth mindset?
You can raise your electronic hand so that we can unmute you if you want to talk about it, or you can put it in the chat box.
Okay, yeah, I can see a few answers coming in. Okay, funds, opportunity, peer support, wonderful. Thank you, Jigar. We'll just give a few more seconds for people to chime in. Commitments, yeah. Chance and interest, okay. Thank you, Anushka. So I'll just repeat for the sake of everyone, right? So between Jigar and Anushka, you pretty much covered the whole universe, right? I mean, so you say peer support, I just say, yeah, absolutely. People around you, your peers, or inside or outside, so industry, okay, different things to different people, not just a rupee against it. Opportunity, so tools, platform, resources, commitments, okay, chance and interest. Okay. All right, so let's all right. All right. Can you hear me? I just, yeah, I think
Yes,
am
sir,
I
you're
still
audible.
muted? Okay. So I'll take the simplest one because this is the one which I think it's a simple mathematical shift in your brain, right? By now, all of you have heard the one single English word called priority. Okay. So we all know what priority is, commitment or whatever you may call it. But 6 or 7 centuries ago in the 1400, um, it has come from a Latin word prior, and it is a singular word. It's not a multiple word. The mess or the word has been naughty, or if I mean to say the least, because the moment I say, for example, Jigar, what are your top 5 priorities? Okay. And if I say, and you listed down top 5, uh, you know, 5 centuries ago, if Jigar and me, we were in some forest in India at that point of time, the word prior actually just meant one, right? It still means one. That's why you say priority. When you give multiple things to it, it makes a mess. I'm not saying don't have, but let's go step by step. But all I'm saying is we make a list of 25 things. Chances are the top 2 or 3 is what really you should be focusing on. The rest of the 22, 23 one, you can move to a circle which says never ever spend time on those. It's as simple as that. Okay. Again, I'm just giving a very, very simplistic example. Even right, and let's take one track at a time. So if I take a track for a student called as second year, third year, or going from second year to third year, or executing these subjects, if I ask you now, how can you prioritize so that you get an equitable distribution for your studies, uh, for some relaxation time, whatever you may want with your friends, your me time. It could include, whatever you may, absolutely, it's your personal time. And then sometime, obviously, for your fitness and sometime for your growth. That's all you need to do. Okay. And then you prioritize and say, in this 6 or 5 hours or 8 hours, that's what we do. Okay. So so as you prioritize, try not to even cross 3 or 4. Really, those are not priorities, those are options you're seeking. And every time you increase the priorities, you increase the chances of diluting your energy. Just be laser focused. For example, if I may ask you, how many of you get up every day and think about, there's one quest I will have in my, out of the 6 or 7 subjects, let's say anatomy, gynecology, or whatever, range of motion. I'm just using a term, right? Range of motion. Um, I understand it more from a fitness perspective. That is my range of motion exactly as exercises for me to work out, let's say, my leg muscles. Okay. For you, range of motion is a different field of study. If you wake up every day and say, every day, I'm going to study one concept which I did not know, one thing which I did not know in range of motion, and you just go and just keep doing that. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I really don't care, but you keep a finite time saying, at least for 40 minutes, I'll pursue this, what it means for me to excel on this. You'll be surprised that that's all it takes, a little laser focus. And that's why when the mind is decluttered and really, the space on your mind is clear, you're just laser focused on it, you'll be amazed how much you derive satisfaction. Whatever it may be. It could even be as simple as anything in the medicine industry, or sorry, the physiotherapy world, anything which you derive the satisfaction. Okay. Funds, peer support, opportunity, everything else which you look at, right? It's all a function of how you look at it. Jigar, to your point, surviving itself, right? If we all wake up and say, oh no, the world is going to crash, there's a black hole, there's a 4th wave, there's a 6th wave, there's a 10th wave, and there's a triple or a quadruple variant, yes, that's what will appear to you. And hey, or else if you go around and say, this is what they are doing, this is what is going on, this is what we need to do, and this is my task, right? So your opportunity, your surviving is all a skill of, because you want the world to appear as you look at it. It is very, very critical that you get or understand that that is not reality. Okay. But there's so many things going on. You, even as you go from time 0 to time 24 hours in a day, we go through various range of emotions, right? So I would say, your chance and interest, Anushka, what you said, I like to call that as beliefs and passions. If you like something, maybe you'll push it by a few hours, few days, but eventually you'll latch onto it. Um, so if you consider your chance and interest like a triangle, I like to put, on the top, I put a reward, and below on the two apexes, I put a routine and a reminder. So if I like doing something, you can just set a reminder. It could be on your phone or something. Okay, I like sitting down in the balcony with my cup of tea, 10 minutes, reminder every day in the morning, 5:30, 6:30, whatever time you wake up. That's your reminder. Then you do the routine, which is simply do what you like. Okay. And then you get a reward. The reward is you feel good. Keep doing this. You can read any number of n number of books or something on this, but the simple structure, right? The reward, routine, and reminder will just change and blow away your mind on how much you can absorb. Uh, Again, I'm just making it very simple. Pick a topic, pick a subject actually, break that subject into 10 things, 10 things in that subject which you want to take on, uh, either in the next 10 days or in the next 1 month. And you'll be amazed at how these little gains, you know, and here's the mathematical formula. Even if you improve by half or 1% every day, so which means today you were this, in your assumption, if you did not devote even 10 minutes today for a thing you love, and tomorrow, if you denote only 11 minutes, you've improved much better than 99% of the people on this planet. If you really want a mathematical comparison, it is impossible to improve 1% every day. So it takes time, my friends. And that's why this routine, reward, and the reminder, no matter what we call it. Uh, Now, our creators probably put some reminders inside us with our pituitary gland or whatever rhythms we call it. But there are certain reminders we like in our world with cell phones, alarms, buzzers. So let's use them and create this opportunity, right? So really think about this. Think about what the certain assumptions you make sometimes are the ones which can really take you from that closed mindset to a growth mindset, right? And that is where it is infinite. Um, the biggest thing, the biggest service you can do to what your parents, your society has gifted you, the opportunity. And again, I'm just saying this out of complete respect, is you are already in a career which is about serving others, whether you serve one to one in a consultative session or you serve one to many. Okay, the tools, the technologies, the knowledge, and everything will come. Don't even worry about it. The mindset is what you can cultivate now, because that will leave you with something very, very enduring. And by enduring, I mean it is just there. It will always guide you. You can actually close your mind and it will just go on cruise control, right? The ship just goes, the plane just goes because there is a higher power moving it. And I believe your growth mindset is something which you just have to work on it every day. Maybe I can't quantify it in terms of time. I don't even know when is there an end point to it. But if you're in it, in the act of building it, I think it will get you far, far ahead. Okay, we are just on top of the hour. Actually, 3 more minutes. Oh, sorry, just over three. Any um so Riddhi or Anjali ma'am, if there's any questions somebody wants to unmute and ask, we can take them. But I've been taking questions in the chat only so far.
No questions so far in the chat.
Yeah, we may have missed. There was a flurry suddenly, but a lot of great questions and comments on the chat. If somebody wants to unmute, any questions from the faculty, um, happy to take them as well. Any comments?
If someone want to unmute themselves and talk, you can raise your hand so that you can be given a request to unmute yourself. There's one question in the chat box. What is the most basic way to cultivate the growth mindset? Asked by Jui Parmar.
Yeah. Thanks, ma'am. Yeah, again, Julia, I'll take you back to the central, uh, simple, one formula, right? Start now. Don't. There's never a golden shining moment. Uh, Start now, but realize the nicest way is what assumptions are you making? Sometimes uh, that this is the way it is. This is what it is, right? What assumptions are you making, which are actually denying you to not embrace your growth mindset? So you can use that reminder, reward, routine model, or you can use the innovation examples I gave you. So when you say cultivating the growth mindset, first of all, you realize that you already have it. You just need to rekindle it or rewire it. And that's not, it's not rocket science at all. It is just about what assumptions are I making about my studies, right? How can I do this? And I don't need to tell you, Joey, you live in a world in which there are at least a dozen examples of people, things, circumstances, and so many people in your world who may have innovated on this. Uh, so yeah. So start now. 2 words. Okay, Misbah has a very nice question. How to keep oneself consistent? Some tips on it. Misbah, again, I'll use the same 1% example. Just keep that. Let me be a 1% better human being than yesterday. That itself is huge. So let me try and at least be a 1% better than yesterday, whatever that is. हम लोग, if I may say so in Hindi, हम लोग consistency is word का बहुत बड़ा हवा बना के रखा है for no reason, right? Consistency. The moment you say consistency, you think of a very meticulous, long tunnel procedure. The important word is starting, right? It's just like people might say, right? Uh, when you start doing things alone, you don't feel like. That's why, if it helps you, Misbah, find two people who can always, that's why we have WhatsApp groups, right? People with common interests. Now, I don't want to go there. There are certain demerits as well, distractions, but start something and find 2 or 3 people who are also passionate and want to do something about it. You'll find that your consistency is now also a function of the group's consistency. So you like people reminding you, you like people asking you politely. For example, if I'm in that group and I would say, hey, Misbah, हम लोग क्या हम इसका पढ़ाई कर सकते हैं आज? चलो मिलते हैं. And then suddenly you get into it. So the first 2 minutes are always difficult. Literally, the 2 minutes of the thing which you want to do will always be difficult. If I may say so, just ignore it. Use whatever concepts or philosophies come to your mind. Just go through the flow, and then everything just falls. All right. Jidnasya has a nice question. Geeta ma'am, yeah, there are times when there is a deadlock or a thought block. I'll read Geeta ma'am's question first. How to think differently at each times? I just love to use the same tools because many times I feel, again to that 2000 book example, if there are 2000 books every year, there's going to be 2 million ways to do things, right? I respect those ways, but I keep my little areas of inspiration to a small list. So every time I get a thought block, Geeta ma'am, I always ask myself, what assumptions are I making which is not allowing me to look at the situation differently? And then I think, okay, so if I drop those assumptions, what comes to my mind? That's the first step for me to release it, and then it just goes on. I think Disha has a question on procrastination stand in this. So I would say, don't be moralistic too much about procrastination because oh, I'm a heavy procrastinator. Oh, so procrastinates. Disha is prone to procrastination, right? What we do is we take a paintbrush and then we paint someone like, oh my God, you're a procrastinator for the next 3 weeks. I would say, first of all, assume that it is only an instant in time. So if you have procrastinated something from yesterday or last week, drop the top down and now think about what can you do in your way so that you don't procrastinate. I don't really know what appeals to you, Disha, but this much I can tell you that if you hold yourself responsible for your procrastination, that itself is that killi or the chabi for you to open a door which says, if I had procrastinated earlier and I now know that I am responsible for it now, then I have the full tools, the killi to open the door and just go through it. Okay. Um, yeah, absolutely. Shraddha, very valid point. Learning not just from criticism, uh, but I always like to use the word feedback, right? So, okay, what did you like about this session? What did you not get, right? What did not work for you? All that you can put a circle and say criticism for me, right? For my session. So you have to just take it. The moment you let go of the fact that no one's, as I told you, right? No one is born with it. There is nothing called as perfect. You just have to keep enjoying the journey. So you can find inspiration if you have a growth mindset. You'll always be able to make out situations and people which give you a growth mindset. Whereas, how many times in a room have you felt it? Let me ask you, Shraddha, if everyone around you is complaining, that single voice of calmness and reason which says, "Oof, folks, I think we have gone through a lot. I fully understand what everyone is experiencing. Let's just take a 20-minute tea coffee break." And then you will find magic happening in the cafeteria, again, using the same example, or after people come back refreshed. So absolutely, I think you don't need a tool, you don't need a building, you don't need anything for embracing a growth mindset. You just need a shift, and the willingness will come. You just create that shift in your mind, the willingness comes. Jaina has a nice question. Comfort zone, I like the way a lot of books use that. Yes, absolutely. You have to come out of your comfort zone. Same example, right? If you draw a circle and say, this is my circle, only when you come out of the circle, you realize, okay, the circle had this diameter. The circle was a sphere. The circle was a spheroid. The circle is facing this much longitude and latitude. So yeah, if the circle is something which makes or shuns or wheels you from anything going out in the world, Jaina, I would say that's a comfort zone. There is nothing bad about a comfort zone. I firmly believe, if for example, if Jaina, you understand anatomy very well, and you only want to pursue a research there, you can go all the levels. But that does not mean you only study that, right? You have to study the rest of the 5 subjects to get your degree for that year. So anything which constrains or stifles your vision is a comfort zone. And please do not give the authority, the responsibility for any book, any person, or any situation to define a comfort zone for you. Only you know that. Okay. Only you know your mind. Only you will know your comfort zone. So once you know this is my comfort zone, you will work on it. Oh yeah. Jigar has a very nice comment on what's the ambience, right? I call the ambience as a context. It's what's the context you have. So for example, if the context was, this is COVID, we have few vaccines, we have distance learning going on, we are all in our remote locations studying to all these subjects, and we get these examples. The faculty is doing this much in remote sessions. What can now we do to take this to the next level? So that's the ambience. That's a major factor. That will either enhance, enable, or diminish or suppress you from thinking out of the box. Folks, I say again and again, I would say this again and again without even feeling repetitious, that as students, you've gone through a lot. All of us, right? All of us. I speak to many engineering, MBA, medical students, and I know distance learning is something which was not a choice for you. It was thrust upon you. Okay. Now, how do you focus? Again, I think to Gauri TK's point, on the positivity of it is you get the flexibility and the freedom to save time on travel. You don't have to dress up. You don't have to plan. So what you save on the time resources part can move very logically to a certain other pillar part, which is your commitment part, and you can enhance your commitment. Now, commitment is not a moral virtue you're born with. Commitment is just that intent you show. Remember, belief, passion. Okay. Um, so, Gauri, to your point, I think you made a very honest statement. How do you focus on positivity with all the negativity going around? We cannot shut out the news, the social media forever now, and you should not, right? But again, as I always said, Gauri, and I'll say this in Marathi or Hindi, you have a choice. Not don't think about the extreme. You cannot shut out social media. You would have to go and live under a rock or an island for it, right? So you decide what streams come to you. If you're, again, I'm just general. If Subodh's way of starting the morning is to log on to my phone and just subscribe to 4 articles which I love, and that's all I need to see. And you are not God's gift to WhatsApp, right? So if you understand that statement, it simply means you don't have to keep responding to WhatsApp or doing a thumbs up to every comment. So you are neither God's gift to social media. So just enjoy, just accept it that it is a wall, like a wall. Someone comes and paints and writes, someone appreciates. As far as you're not the one who's criticizing it, don't expect everybody else in the world to acknowledge and do a thumbs up on everything you write. If you feel like writing, write. It doesn't change you, right? So social media is a part of you. You are not a part of social media. If you can understand that thing in your mind, it becomes very easy. The focusing part is just a shift. Don't even worry about that. But for now, as I always said, right, if your priorities are, if in every hour, if you're going to devote that 10 minutes time to social media, the time has now come to deprioritize it, because it was never meant to be that important. It never was. Even Mark Zuckerberg knows that, right? Even Satya knows that. These were tools meant for information. These were tools meant for collaboration. If you're planning an event, there is no substitute to WhatsApp for getting people together, passing data around. But when the times comes for execution, nobody even bothers their WhatsApp, right? It's all switched off. People are in the event. So learn to differentiate that. Jaina, I think I answered that comfort zone part. So I think it, again, after acknowledging each one of you, you people have gone through a lot. And the second and the final statement I want to make is, do not do a disservice to your growth mindset, right? You're born with it. You just need to ignite it. You just need to rekindle it. We can go on and on with these questions, but I think we had only committed for 1 hour, and we, in all good sense, I have no problems. I can go on if there are questions for some more time. But I do not know if I'm keeping the faculty or any of you students away from your next session or your next commitment. So I will let Shweta, Riddhi, Anjali ma'am, anyone take a call. Geeta ma'am, do you want to have more questions, or do you want to stretch for some more time, or should we wind up?
Shweta, you want them to ask more questions?
Yes, absolutely. If they have any questions, they can go ahead. And Subodh, I liked hearing you. Just as a final takeaway for the students, just as a short summary, can you give one very simple example from the students' world? Maybe they're learning, studying, what typically is seen in their examples is of the comfort zone and the procrastination. So they all are eager to learn. They are intelligent, they are energetic, and they want to do it. The questions do show their willingness to do it. They probably are not as crystal clear how exactly to do the shift still from close to open. Can you give one very simple, clear example from their world, just as so that it stays with them as a takeaway of this session, that this is growth closed mindset and this is open mindset or the growth mindset?
Sure, Shweta. Sure. Thanks for calling it out. I used various, all these were just examples, right? I call them as indicators, like the litmus test example. I would come down to, again, the same example, use the 1% example. it's a huge step, right? Again, one person, even if you take anything, take a subject right now, any subject which challenges you, okay? Break it down into 5 or 6 priorities. When I say priorities, I mean, how can I crack A's, or really be someone who understands this much about anatomy so that not only I can pass, but if I can pursue an advanced career in it. So for you, as a student, the nicest way is to break this down into. So the first step, again, I'm saying the first step, which is going inside the head, as you go from a close to a growth mindset, is small atomic chunks. If I'm using the word atomic is undivisible, so make small chunks of it. Okay, this subject, you know, open a book or whatever app you like, or I always like to just draw. If you're making a pie chart, 12 areas. Anatomy has 12 main areas. Now, starting from tomorrow, the 1% improvement translates to one area, one new article, one paragraph, or if some of you who like to actually write, I'll write one page on it or one para on it. Simple action. The only thing which moves inside your mind from a close to a growth mindset, if that bridge by now, if I did not say it, it's a simple 6-letter word: action. There is no substitute for it. Okay, I gave the examples of data, knowledge, wisdom, but the bridges in between were built on pillars of action. What action do you want to do? And action is not the physical part. Action is also the shift, to Shweta's point, for a subject. The action could just be, I think somebody asked about the action you can take is deprioritize social media. And I don't want to paint social media with a wrong impression here. It has the biggest productive force when you harness it in the right way. And I think everyone on this call knows how to use WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook in a way in which it enhances you for certain actions. So I leave that imagination to you. But coming back to your point, Shweta, I would say, use that 1% example. If I can be a 1%, different or a better person than yesterday, no matter what action you take, I think that. And then if you want the example part 2, once you get into that habit, you can use a 3R example: rewards, reminder, and a routine. People say different things. I've heard people say it takes 20 days to cultivate a habit or 30 days. I really don't know. I just know one thing: if you have a routine in your life, as simple as getting up, rubbing your hands over your eyes, brushing your teeth, that's a routine. There is some reward in your mind for it. Okay. And there is some reminder which you automatically are set for. There is nothing which stops you from having a similar structure for your subjects. Okay. Put some reward, put some routine, put some reminders. You'll be amazed at how better 1% you can be. Yeah, that would be my takeaway, Shweta.
Yeah, got it. Just one more question. To shift from closed mindset to a growth mindset, will the willingness will the first step, or perception that it is possible to be the first step? From where does the shift start? If a person is
Oh,
stuck in the closed mindset, first the understanding that okay, this is the closed mindset, then probably seeing something out of the mindset as possible. How does the shift start exactly? Is it realizing that this mindset is a closed mindset?
yeah, it's both. It's a function of realization and also that assumption part, right? So that's why I always imagine any situation right now. For example, even after this session, if your mind is just inundated with so many things you want to study, learn, or check up, you can just say, what assumptions am I now making which are stopping me from harnessing to do this or do that? You'll be surprised at how many things stop and detract you. Everyone has a different list, but there's always a list. So, what assumptions are you making about this? That is the reaction you said. Business part is is uh, is never a function of your aptitude, skill, your marks, your upbringing. The willingness is just autonomous, which means it's on pilot, automatic. The moment you get that realization, it is completely automatic. It is as automatic as the way you do this, right? There is nothing on it. It's just completely voluntary. Um, I firmly believe, Shweta, and for all the students on this call, start challenging, everything, right? Your biggest fears, your biggest uncertainties which you have were never there till you made them as a fear or uncertainty. So remember the athlete's example I gave you. Nervous? Yes. Oh, heck yes, I'm nervous. And then when you ask them, are you excited? They'll say, oh, heck yes, I'm excited. My heart is beating at a heart. So the symptoms are always the same. Learn to distinguish, learn to realize the same symptoms of fear and uncertainty can be galvanized for moving from a close to a growth mindset. Yeah, that would be the shift.
Thank you. Thank you. And I absolutely like the bridge that you mentioned. That is the action.
The actions
Bridge
bridge.
from
Yes.
closed mindset to open mindset. All that connects is the action part. Otherwise, it's just dreaming.
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah. Beautiful.
Avni
Oh
ma'am,
my
would you
God.
like
People
to
are
say
still
something?
chiming in with questions. Sorry, Anjali ma'am.
Avni ma'am would like to say something.
I think, Mr. Subodh, it was really very nice to listen to you. And I think listening to you, it seems so easy, but I think it will take time for me as well as maybe to really shift from that closed mindset to open mindset. But I think the examples that you have given and the way you make it, we will try to do it. And I'm really thankful to Shweta and Physiotherapy College for giving the nursing college also a chance to be a part of this wonderful venture. Thanks a lot to you as well as to Dr. Shweta.
Sure, Avni ma'am. And if I may say so again, I really want all of you to just, if there is a way we could all applaud, that's why it's so hard to pat our backs, but that's what all 500 of you guys need to do. And Avni ma'am, you and your entire nursing staff, I'm sure you must be having millions of people who are blessing you. And I would just humbly like to say this, great job, every one of you. Let's continue the dialogues. Shweta, to your point, hopefully post-COVID, if it's a nice Friday or Saturday when I'm in Mumbai next time, we should have a part 2 of this conversation in your famous cafeteria.
Absolutely.
Sir, just a last question. You said
Yeah.
about a closed mindset. So I think it should not be generalized to maybe a person. It can be related to one particular thing. A person cannot be of closed mindset for each and everything. It can be for selective things. That's what I understand.
Right, Rupali. Absolutely. I am getting the drift of where you're coming from. Absolutely. And I think as you master the ability to, shut and close, you yourself realize how easy it is to let go. Right? And sometimes you'll always say, okay, this is for this particular thing, the closed or the growth works. Nothing too bad about the closed, nothing too moralistic, great or good about the growth too, right? It's just a choice you will always have. Very well said, Rupali. Yeah.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, we can just complete that. I think Umkesh, how can I focus and achieve my goal? That's a question from Umkesh.
Yeah, I saw one question from Umkesh. Okay, how can I focus and achieve my goal? So Umkesh, again, the way you ask question is very clear and direct, right? Yet the directness in your question is you want to focus and achieve your goal. I will just turn back the question to you and says, do you have a list of 25 goals? Break it down to 3 or 4, right? For a particular topic, in one area. And that's what you need to focus. And look at the rest of the 20 and say, I will never touch or spend time on this till I finish this. Move them here, then get the rest of the 5. Sometimes deprioritization is actually eliminating procrastination. You focus well when your mind is clear. You work well, but I can guarantee you, if your mind is decluttered, you focus well. The term laser focus is often used, and you need not always be in action mode, and ready to go and doing this in laser focus. You can be calm, composed, sitting on a chair, and laser focused on your career, Omkesh. I'm sure you have that capability. The second part, for you to achieve your goal, my friends, Again, I'll just say, in everything you do now, do realize, again, what assumptions are you making about whatever you hear, which is impacting you every time. Now, for example, if anatomy subjects was, again, I'm just being very general, if you're a nursing student, right? If certain subjects were always studied and done in this way for the last 20 odd years, are you making certain assumptions? Are you forming some study groups and getting some different opinions? I know for me to sit here and like a priest just say this seemingly easy things, that's why I liked Avnima when she said it all comes with action and practice, right? You have to inculcate that. um, Omkesh, I leave you with this. Only you know what motivates you, right? So don't let anyone else do that. But yes, derive a lot of joy, satisfaction, like Rupali said, right? There are a lot of ways in which you work in a team. So derive a lot of that, but only you will exactly know what you want to do and you'll get that. I'm sure you will start touching your goals soon.
Suppose also Advait and Jigar, they have 2 questions.
Okay. Okay. Advait Ghosh has a question. It is believed that we develop our mindset by seeing people around us. What about the exceptional people who say they were born intelligent? Uh, it is, yeah. So Advait, honestly, I'm just quoting, right? Now, this is where the medical scholars, think tanks, the historians say, no one was. When Newton, when he wrote, the Mathematica Principia at the age of 21, it was not a ray of light which told him the 3 laws of motion, right? So I'll say this again, right? If people think creativity, super intelligence is you're born 100% with it, no, it is actually less than 1%. That ability to see is what people confuse. 99% or more is always perspiration. Okay. So inspiration is just the 1% part. It's like what, for example, I'm just being very blunt. I might get inspired by you if I meet you for half an hour, right? But I can't go home and live on that, motivation or inspiration. I have to keep doing something, actions on it. So creativity, being born intelligent, I think by now, most historians, most anthropologists agree that everyone from, the Newton, the Mozarts, the Da Vinci, they all just embraced their innovation or growth mindset and were able to look at things differently. And then they did one thing which most of the people don't get, which is perspiration for that single goal at that instant in time. And they just perspired and perspired and perspired.
There is one question from Jidnyasa. She's asking how to trust your ideas and solutions. You think about problem around even if it seems impossible to make it into action. I'll paste the question in the chat as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to read that, but I got the first part. I'm not sure if I got the
Yeah.
second part right. Could you repeat the second part again, ma'am? Actually, ma'am.
So if Jidnasa, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the question or maybe retype it. We have not got the second part of the question.
Okay, I got it now. Yeah, Riddhi pasted it. How to trust your ideas and solution. You think about problems, even if it seems impossible to make it an action. Okay, great. So again, Riddhi, I'll just make a simple mathematical equation, right? So if you say innovation, growth mindset, creativity, super intelligence, right? Whatever even Advait asked in the previous question, 1% is the ideation part, the creative part. 99% is the perspiration part. Okay, that much. That is a basic, simple mathematical formula. Now, how do you trust, your ideas and solution? The bestest way, if I may use the word bestest, is to always ideate, not on a silo. The word silo means kahi to dur jaake. For example, example, the wooden structure was somebody ideated on the arm, somebody put wheels, somebody put a mechanized motor. You always ideate at intersections. In simple English, if your idea, and I'm saying it in Hindi if you like, just simple, just to make it very realistic, अगर वो एक problem को solve नहीं कर रहा है, तो your idea doesn't go far. Now look around, just take a deep breath and look around your mobile, look around every app on your mobile, Swiggy, Zomato, it solves one basic societal problem, one technological problem. It gets you food, it gets you whatever, Amazon. So you have to solve certain problem or display something. Only then is your idea solution a good one. Now, you can only look at a problem or a complication, look at a solution, and the one which is a bridge in between is your idea plus actions. And then you keep correcting, keep correcting, keep correcting. One of my favorite, you know, to be inspired person, and obviously I think most of you will agree, Einstein always said, right, doing things 1,000 ways in their ideas and actions, it's always about, it's not about failing 999 times, right? It's knowing 999 times different ways you can do a problem. So you may get that simple yes at the 1,000th time, but you knew 999 times this is the way it should not work. So your ideas and solutions will always be special, whether you are doing it for your project or you want to start a startup or you want to do something different, Jigyasa, sorry. But I would say try to map it directly to solution. If it is not meeting an outcome, solving a problem, even when you're saying something, are you saying to around a person, or are you just saying from a context of what you know? That also helps, right? And the actions will always come once you align. So is the bridge meant for crossing over a river or ocean? Is the bridge meant for crossing over a valley? If the pillars are sound, the actions will come. Don't worry much. All right.
Jigar's question, can you take it, Subodh?
Yeah. Is it Jigar's question?
No, there's this last question. How can technology be used for learning?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Again, tried. We can all say infinite, right? But let's just bring it down. Again, if you draw a circle and say the 10 different ways in which technology can be used, and then really look at what matters the most to the two colleges, nursing and physiotherapy, where I would say, again, I'm just turning Jigyasa's question into a nice case study. What is that place in which you, both these institutes, spend most time, right? Now, let's say people moving around, where is that you invest most times and resources? Where are the repetitious things done? And then create a solution which saves that. In my humble opinion, that is the most best way for you to use technology and learning. Instead of being generic, yeah, you can just do anything, distance learning, you can have the best AI systems, all that fancy things you can have. But think about right now in the present framework with all the Zoom tools, servers, and the wireless Wi-Fi you have, what are the areas where people are missing out the most? For now, I can say if you can have a Zoom call for 500 people, you have a fairly good infrastructure, right? So maybe Riddhi, Amai, you folks already know you can take this much load. Now within this, what can you do for people to collaborate, right? Instead of getting 20 people to travel across buildings, can you create a collaboration board so that people can ideate? Can you send some polls so people can poll and say, I like this, I don't like this, so everyone feels included? That is, but otherwise, it's a very broad question too, man. But I would say right now, healthcare is one of the biggest and the most emerging tech. People even have a word for it, medtech, if you want to know, just like we have fintech, which is banks, stock exchanges, insurance, and technology. Just like that, we have medtech, which is now all fields of medicine, then healthcare, then the policy frameworks, and then the medical insurance, everything on it. So that's there is so much patient healthcare management using things like everything. You can use robotics, artificial intelligence, a lot of telemedicine. You can put sensors. If this is my medicine, you can put a sensor here. If you've not taken it, it automatically sends a signal to you as a doctor or as a person. You can do remote exercises, so you can exactly know if I put an arm rest here. People are already doing it for rehabilitation. If the range of motion even goes from here to there, it will beep. So you can guide me on the phone. Immense, immense. There is no limit. That's where that open, that's why I use the word finite, infinite. And I leave you that. Okay. And I wish you all cultivate the infinite growth mindset in each one of you. It's just waiting to be rekindled. All right. So again, great questions, each one of you students. If there's no more questions, I think, should we close the session? Yeah.
You have already shared this with multiple examples, but since we are teachers, we like the point to be made still clear and still clear and still clear. So when you say assumptions, you mean if I find the subject of anatomy challenging, and I have not learned much in the online lectures, that's what is my assumption, and so it's makes me difficult, and so is that my closed mindset? And then I need to take some action to reach a growth mindset where things are possible for me and I get to learn that subject, I plan for it. Is that what you clearly mean? When you say
Absolutely.
assumptions, can you just talk a bit about what you mean by assumptions?
Yeah, I think you partially even answered it, Shweta. Assumption means the original subject or object, whatever. In this case, anatomy does not change. There is nothing wrong with it. Assumptions is that layer of perceptions, is that layer of again, I hate to use the word, but sometimes even prejudices get inside the way. Just because you've heard it, you assume. So this layer blocks you from seeing it. Anatomy was always this much. You made certain assumptions. So a growth mindset says, if you're looking at my gestures now, it says, yeah. So it says, these are my assumptions. What assumptions am I making, which I can now move so that I get to see anatomy the way it is. And then you can approach it through various ways. So that this is that assumption layer I'm talking, which I think you rightly expressed it very succinctly. And that was, it could be presumptions, prejudices. It could even be a function of 10 people told me. So I perceive that to be a reality. Yes.
Thank you.
All
Subbu
right.
sir, can we say that when you addressed us about 6 years back, we were very new to the telemedicine world and maybe we had a closed mindset that time. But as the pandemic approached, we were among the first colleges to start tele-rehab and take up that challenge. So from the closed mindset, we came to a open and we ignited our minds and we used that challenge and we provided services to the entire patient. So do you think we have shifted from closed mindset to open mindset?
Absolutely. If you're watching my hand, this is it. And I wish Zoom was intelligent now. It should do this. This is precisely what I'm saying, Anjali, ma'am. This is precise. The pandemic at a medicinal virus, microbiological level, despite the challenges it thrust on us, not as a choice, has opened us up with a growth mindset and empowered us with a growth mindset to innovate. And I think you people have even embraced it before the pandemic in stages. But the acceleration, or I think to Shweta's point, right, that shift probably happened more during the pandemic. But brilliant, absolutely brilliant, Anjali ma'am. You paraphrased it very nicely, precisely. Yes, and continue to do so, if I may say so.
So coming to an end, sir, thanks a lot for your such a bright and electrifying lecture. I suppose a lot of minds will be ignited with this, and by the time we have your next session, you will give you a lot of positive feedback.
Oh, sure. I would love to. I'm waiting next time I'm in Mumbai. I would surely love to post-pandemic. Let's all meet whoever is there and just have a very, very informal Q&A like this. I really enjoyed. And thank you all. Shweta, thank you. Anjali ma'am, I think if I take the names of all the faculty here, Avni ma'am, Mugdha, everyone, all of you, Geeta ma'am, really enjoyed. Thank you so much for having me here today and looking forward to the next one.
So
Thank you
you,
so
sir.
much. Thank you.
And thanks to the entire team, right from the Somaya Vidya Vihar, who provided us with such a big platform so that we could entertain most of our students. The IT team, which has worked behind the curtains, right from Riddhi, Mugdha, Harsha in designing the brochure, all my workshop committee team, entire faculty of KJ Somaya College of Physiotherapy, and even my non-teaching staff who have taken the benefit of attending this lecture. And even special thanks to all the participants who have been so interactive, and I hope their fear to some extent we are able to address.
Absolutely. Thank you. Happy Friday, everyone.
Bye. Thank
I
you.
have shared a feedback form link. I'll again paste it in the chat box. Do fill up this feedback form. Is there in the chat box. Y'all can check it out over there. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, sure, Riddhi. Thanks to even Amay. Really, again, full kudos for really ensuring and providing us the platform for this. Would not have happened without you. Thank you so much. I'll drop off now.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.